Welcome back to Beyond the Party Lines. My name is Ethan Shea,
And my name's Luke Shahid.
and today we're going to talk about everything that's happened since we last met, from the Venezuela raid to the ICE shooting in Minnesota. Before we start, how was your break?
Oh, it was great. Spent some Christmas time with the family, and it was pretty fun. How about you?
I grinded college essays the entire break, because I had about 10,000 words when I went into break that needed to get done. So I worked on that, had Christmas and New Year's with the family, that's it. And we hope that everybody watching had a good Christmas too, or good holiday season rather. So first, the ICE shooting in Minnesota. A protester, Renee Good, was a 37-year-old U.S. citizen and was shot dead by ICE agent Jonathan Ross on January 7, 2026. Currently, there are three main point of views of the incident, one from a close bystander, one from a bystander who appears to stand on the second floor of a building several houses down from the incident, and the POV footage of the officer. And let's take a look at all three. So the EMS arrived 10 minutes after the video of the physician who asked to check the pulse of Renee Good. And also the EMS was denied direct access to the road by ICE because of their vehicles which were blocking the road, and they ended up having to approach on foot. There were 3 shots fired. And according to the Fourth Amendment, reasonable force must be used by law enforcement during an arrest. And according to recent Supreme Court ruling in Barnes v. Felix, May 2025, officers must consider the totality of all circumstances, including the events leading up to the incident, not just a few seconds before. And one more thing, in order to justify lethal force by law enforcement, the officer must be in imminent danger of death or severe bodily harm. So, just going back to the video, I don't think it's really a question that before the shooting, the escalation occurred, she was, I guess, illegally blocking the road or obstructing justice, right? She was protesting, but technically committing a crime as well.
Right.
What do you think?
What do I think overall, but that specific thing?
That specific part.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty well-known fact, that she was doing something that's illegal, but does that give the officer the right to shoot her? And I think everyone would also agree that no, there had to be some sort of more, like you're saying, imminent danger for the police officer to use lethal force.
Yeah. And then we can go video by video. In the first video that I watched, the close bystander camera video, the footage showed the officer pulling out his gun before she even put the car into drive. From what I saw, like the car was not moving. She backed up. She turned to the left. She backed up. She put the car in drive, and as she put it in drive, he pulled out his gun. So my question is, I don't know, shouldn't he move out of the way of the speeding car? Because even if she goes pedal to the metal and he shoots her dead, like you saw in the video, like the car still went and drove and hit. The only reason it stopped was because it hit another car parked down the street. So even shooting her would not have stopped the vehicle, in my opinion. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a very complex issue because it's such a heat of the moment type of thing, and hindsight vision's always 20/20, so it's easier to say and analyze it like frame by frame, but that's not how the people were reacting. I think that it's definitely not a clean-cut, one person's wrong. Like, you can go one political side and say that the ICE officer is completely wrong, and then some people are going to say, well, the woman's completely wrong. I don't think either that's true. I think there's some blame to be shared by both people. Like you said, she was obstructing justice, but it doesn't warrant that doesn't necessarily warrant lethal force. But I don't know. I don't think that the officer, it's hard to tell what he was thinking in the moment, and that's why these cases are so complex, like I said. But it's far too easy to just take one political side and say one person is completely wrong. I think there's definitely some blame to be shared by both respective people. So yeah, that's as best as I can answer that.
I mean, she put herself in that situation, but I still think it's more the officer's fault. Because, looking at the POV footage, right before she started driving towards him and then away from him, she was turning the wheel all the way to the right, and it was in plain view of the camera footage from the officer's point of view. That's one thing. And another one is that I think I've heard people say that the friction in the audio from the POV footage is the officer being struck by the vehicle. I don't necessarily know for a fact, but at the same time, I think that audio-wise, if your phone touches that part, like that material, it creates the same friction. And I tested this last night, and if you don't believe me, go get a windbreaker or some other cloth with that same material, and rub your phone on it while taking a video. There's quite a bit of like audible friction there. Next to that, there were 3 shots fired, and that 2 of them were clearly after the car had moved past, or the front of the vehicle had moved past the officer. So he shot twice and then a third time, unnecessarily. And yeah, I just don't understand why he had his gun out in the first place, because his gun's not going to stop the moving vehicle. As we've seen, and I'm sure whoever's at the academy teaching these law enforcement agencies know this. If a car's coming towards you, shooting the driver's not going to do anything, because whether dead or alive, they're dead, right? They're limp. Their foot's still on the gas pedal, right? So I don't really understand the rationale behind it. There was another argument for the officer, was that 6 months ago, around 6 months ago, in June 2025, he was involved in another vehicle accident that he needed a bunch of stitches, etc. from it, and people are saying that that's the reason he reacted so harshly. He reacted so vehemently because he was afraid he had essentially PTSD from that encounter. And I think there are 2 issues with that. One, if he's still affected by that, then his judgment's impaired. Right. Should he really be back out on the streets? You could argue that, he needs to do his job, but at the same time, part of his job is protecting American citizens. He shot one. I don't think that impaired judgment should be. I don't think people with impaired judgment should be allowed to, at least holster a deadly weapon. Second issue is that during that incident, the way the incident happened was that he was attempting to arrest an undocumented immigrant, and the immigrant refused to get out of his vehicle, so the officer broke the rear window and tried to unlock the door. But as he did that, the car suddenly accelerated, pulling him for 50 yards, and he got basically dragged along. My point here is that it's while they're both vehicle accidents, getting dragged by a car and getting hit by a car are 2 very different things, I would say. I would argue. What do you think about that from the officer point of view, from the history of the encounter? What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely think that would play a large role in the way in which he reacted and why he felt the need to pull out his gun so quickly. Like I said before, I feel like it's easy to say, well, if you shoot someone in a car, the car's going to keep going, so why would you even do that? But from this officer's perspective, maybe it's just he's been trained, if you are in imminent danger, you bring out your weapon.
Well, was he in imminent danger?
Well, that's the question.
What do you think?
I think that, is the question, is he in imminent danger, or was he under the impression that he was in imminent danger? Because those could be 2 different things. Just because she turned the wheel so far that it wouldn't hit him, she still accelerated towards him, even though it wasn't going to hit him. So maybe he didn't see how far the wheel was turned and sees a car coming at him. He has that previous experience of being dragged by a car, like you said. So he feels like he's in danger. And like I said, I don't want to put so much blame on a woman who is dead and can't defend herself because she did not deserve to die like that. But she could have went about this whole operation much better.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I don't think that it's his impression of it or whether or not he really was in imminent danger, because he should be trained to, tell, when he actually is. That should be part of his training. He should understand, like we give them deadly weapons to protect themselves, but they also need the training to identify that. So if he believed he was, and then it's shown that he's not, someone in that agency is at fault, whether it's be him for his faulty judgment or for his faulty training. Either way, I still don't think. I think for me the biggest piece of evidence is that she was turning the wheel away from him before she even started moving. Yes, she initially started moving towards him, but that quickly turned to the right. So, and then also the second and third shot also doesn't make sense for me. What else? Second and third shot doesn't make sense for me. Yeah, that's about it. Like whether or not he has like any prior effects from any prior what are they called, law enforcement operations or incidents, it shouldn't affect how he approaches this situation. It shouldn't affect this situation negatively. He shouldn't be. Yes, he should be more afraid, but he should be cognizant of that and take steps to ensure that he really is seeing the scene clearly. And obviously, to me, he did not. What did you think about the physician? Basically, they said there was a physician there who was watching, and he said, "Can I go check her pulse?" Because EMS had not arrived yet, and the firefighters who were reportedly on the scene had not started CPR yet. ICE said that we have our own medics, and then you hear a woman in the crowd saying, "Where are they?" She doesn't hear the medics. She doesn't. No, sorry, not she doesn't hear. She doesn't see the medics anywhere there. And then the physician is reported saying, "I'm a physician. Can I go check her pulse?" And then one ICE agent says no. He says, "But I'm a physician." And another one says, "I don't care." So that type of thinking, in my opinion at least, is very like. What's the reasoning there? Like you can't do any better, right? You don't have any trained professionals on the scene, at least yet. If and when they arrived, yes, they can take over. But as far the moment, their number one priority should be saving her life, because she's incapacitated. She can no longer pose a harm or threat to anybody. So it's their responsibility to kind of protect her life now, right? That's my take on that. What do you think?
Yeah, the physician, gosh, the doctor part is, again, one of those interesting issues, because I understand, like, the physician, like, sorry, man or woman? I forget. But yeah, he wanted to help, and he just wanted to, like you said, like save her life and do whatever he can. I can see the argument that you don't want to bring too many people into like the scene. You don't want too many like cooks in the kitchen. However, if the EMS had not arrived yet, then
and it was one sorry, it was one single guy. It was one guy, one
right.
physician. It wasn't like three people saying, I'm a nurse, can I go help him? It's one guy, one physician saying, "Can I go check her pulse?" Yeah. And then there was another argument that even someone said that what if her pulse is like there's no pulse, then she's dead. That's not necessarily true, because CPR can revive pulses. Like that's how it works. So your heart stops, your pulse stops, and then your heart restarts through CPR, as Luke has his certification.
CPR certified, yes.
So, I mean, is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
So, my point here is that it's not. This is a culture issue, like whether it be through the training of the officer, or the type of people that they employ, who, reportedly like. It wasn't even the denial that pissed me off. It was the statement, "I don't care. I don't care that you're a physician. I don't care that there's this woman in trouble. And you can see like there are other agents that are trying to be more understanding. Yeah, and then like I think that it gets cut off, but there's a clip of a guy saying like, "Oh, we understand, but we have people coming." But even in that situation, it really shouldn't like. She's not going to get any more dead, right? It's your duty to go and do what you can to save her, or at least allow the people who can save her, and then that's compounded by them refusing to let EMS in. EMS had to approach by foot because ICE vehicles were blocking the entrance to the road, and even after they arrived, they didn't move the vehicles. What gives, right? At least for me. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different factors. It was, I mean, I wasn't there, but it seems like it was such an emotional, just few minutes, and everyone was trying to see what was happening. Some people want to help, and some people, maybe like you're saying, are like obstructing that help, and
but they should be trained to deal with those situations, right? Like, there's a reason that they have received training. They don't receive training on just how to shoot people,
right,
or just how to arrest somebody. They should receive training. We're looking at it from our perspective as like bystanders who don't have that type of training. Who are like, oh, if I was in that situation, I don't know what I would do. But the point is that he should know what to do. He is, licensed or trained in some sort of way to deal with these sort of situations, and they just did it extremely poorly.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. But yeah, I think it seems like they definitely could have went about it much better. Maybe like you're saying, their training could have been stronger so that they could deal with these high, intense, emotional situations better. I will say that maybe there's not enough training to make someone infallible. Like, we can't get people to the point that they're never going to make a mistake in these, like I said, high intense emotional situations.
But saying I don't care is really...
Yeah, the I don't care and the blocking EMS, like, these are direct ways in which ICE definitely messed up. And hopefully we can take this and we can make it better than just seeing this one example and then letting more like that come. I think everyone would agree that we should not allow this to become the norm, because people on beyond the party lines,
right,
people on both sides, nobody wants anyone to be dying, and nobody wants harm inflicted. At least I hope nobody wants harm inflicted upon American citizens, especially.
People.
Yeah.
Except bad people. Just to end off, do you have anything else to add to this topic?
I don't think so.
All right, just to end off, the FBI is currently investigating this. Initially, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the BCA, was investigating, but they withdrew from the case, and they alleged that federal authorities restricted their access to evidence. So basically they said, "Oh, we were going to investigate, but we don't have the resources to fight the FBI for this evidence." And then they also have, Minnesota's entire state, right? They also have other issues to deal with. So they kind of backed off and said, the FBI won't give us access to evidence, so we can't really do anything about it. And do you think that this investigation is going to merit anything?
I don't know, really.
Yeah.
My
first inclination is no, but I guess we'll see. If and when there are updates, we'll update on the pod with you guys. Lastly, Agent John Good is currently reportedly in hiding from protesters, etc. I think somebody said they went to his house to gather to gather stuff like evidence and meet him, and the house is completely empty. So it's safe to say that I think he fled to hide because he doesn't want people to attack him or his family, which is I think valid. But yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Maybe it's the agent's fault. Maybe it's ICE's fault. The organization's fault. But like you said, there's definitely fault on both sides. But I think majority of it still lies with ICE. feel free to disagree with that.
No, I think I agree with that, yeah.
Okay. Next, let's talk about Venezuela. Do you want to introduce?
Sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to scratch you there. Yeah, so the whole Venezuela-Maduro situation was very interesting, especially we kind of had those like foreshadowing almost with the Trump and the Venezuelan ships. And
Pizza Index.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, the Pizza Index is basically an index that takes, I think, stores around the Pentagon, like the fast food chains around the Pentagon, because, if there's more activity, there's more people at the Pentagon. If there's more people there, something's going on. Something's happening. And then around this time, it was really starting to pick up.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, to give a more detailed take, U.S. forces carried out a large coordinated air and ground operation in Venezuela on January 3rd, 2026, beginning around 2 a.m. local time in Caracas. And they captured President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Cecilia Flores, killed dozens of Venezuelan and Cuban security personnel, with several U.S. troops injured. And the raid has triggered basically strong regional and global condemnation and border militarization in neighboring countries. So initially, at the start of the attack, the U.S. bombed multiple targets across northern Venezuela to suppress air defenses and military infrastructure, including antennas, warehouses, vehicles, and air defense systems. The operation used special forces supported by, I think people are saying it was Delta Force, the Army attachment, the Army version of the basically Navy SEALs. The operation used special forces supported by over 150 aircraft and reportedly included one-way attack drones. Venezuelan military and security forces statements have varied from 23 to 24 security officers initially to later claims of around 100 total deaths. Independent monitoring shows that roughly 42 to 43 Venezuelan soldiers killed, many from the Presidential Guard at Fort Tijuana, and then plus at least 2 civilian deaths. Cuba disclosed that 32 of its military and intelligence officers stationed in Venezuela were killed in the strikes. U.S. forces suffered 7 wounded service members, 5 have recovered, 2 remain in treatment with no U.S. combat deaths. And there are 2 documented civilian incidents, which include a strike that hit a 3-story apartment building in Catialamar, killing 1 person and seriously injuring another, and a Colombian citizen killed in El Hatillo, reportedly near telecom targets being bombed. As a result of this, Venezuela's neighbors, Brazil, deployed its National Public Security Force units to Roraima state, focusing on Pacaraima and Boa Vista, citing risks from armed groups, trafficking, and instability spilling over from Venezuela. Reports indicate that Venezuelan forces have increased their presence near the Brazilian border and that Brazilian criminal factions and Venezuelan armed groups operate in the border region, and Colombia guerrilla leaders from groups such as ELN and FARC dissidents are reported to be fleeing Venezuela back towards Colombia, raising concerns in Bogota about shifting insurgent dynamics. One more thing, Congress was not notified beforehand. The reason for this raid were the current indictments against Maduro filed in the Southern District Court of New York. He was first indicted in March 2020 on narco-terrorism and cocaine trafficking charges, and on January 3rd, 2026, right after forces seized him, the Justice Department unsealed a new superseding indictment in the Southern District of New York, had 4 counts: narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess such weapons. The updated charging document adds co-defendants, including Celia Flores and other Venezuelan figures, and he has already been arraigned. So I just threw a bunch of information at you. Yeah. My first question is, how and why can we apply U.S. law to arrest somebody who is not in the U.S., whose country doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S.?
Mm-hmm. Well, he's being charged with how he affects the U.S., right, which I think is the important distinction. We're not saying that his narco-terrorism that he was doing in Venezuela, we're not charging him on that necessarily. We're charging him on how he's been affecting the United States, and I think that's where Trump, bombing those Venezuelan ships, that type of stuff comes in. So how it's affecting the United States compared to just, well, he's not a citizen of the United States. He didn't step foot in the United States, so he must not have had any effect on the United States. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Okay. Well,
with how he could have.
Okay. Did we have a right? Did we have a right to go get him?
Well, that's the whole question. I think if we do put that question aside for one quick second, I think it was overwhelmingly good that we did get him.
Yeah. Okay.
I would just say for the amount of casualties, especially as of, like you said, 2 people are still healing now, but as of right now, 0 American casualties. That is extremely successful for obtaining a conspirator of narco-terrorism who has been on the United States most wanted list for a decade now.
But did we have a right? Like, yes, while it was good that we got, I'm not arguing that he isn't a good person. Like, he is a terrible person. But two main issues still stand. Like, one, we didn't have the right to go get him, and even when we did, we went and there were civilian casualties as a result of it. Like, the U.S. is responsible for 2 civilians who had nothing to do with this because of an operation that they had in a country they had no right to be in. Right? They hadn't declared any form of war against against Venezuela. And people might say, like, oh, but the Bin Laden raid wasn't authorized either. No, but I believe that, where is it? The United States was already in an armed conflict with Al-Qaeda authorized by Congress after 9/11. So because that was ongoing and that was authorized by Congress, Bin Laden was a lawful military target in that conflict. So even though he was hiding in Pakistan, he represented, we were in armed conflict with Al-Qaeda, and he was the head of Al-Qaeda. So I think in that sense, it's justified because we were in armed conflict. We were not in armed conflict with Venezuela. So we had 0 authorization or right to be there, in my opinion.
I would say that the positives can definitely outweigh the negatives at sometimes. And if we're following the sometimes the quote-unquote right or lawful, like just by going by like the letter of the Constitution exactly, can sometimes stop a lot of good. And I can give like historical examples. Like Lincoln obviously broke the Constitution for enslavement, which is overwhelmingly good.
Right.
And so I think we can say that sometimes going a little outside the law for the greater good can be more important. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you break the law and it's a very bad thing, and we have to be corrected for that. So,
well, that's why the law exists.
Right.
Like, the law exists to basically say this is what you can do, this is what you can do, and this is what you cannot do, trying to maximize the good while minimizing the bad. If we take every action into our own hands without laws, without cause for precedent, doesn't that make how are we controlled? Right? I think it was in Federalist 51 that Madison said, you must enable the government to control the governed, and then you must convince it to control itself. Right? If you go outside the law, how is that the government controlling itself? In that case, I think the anti-federalist sentiment that the federal power will become too overwhelming is coming true, because one man's administration is making the decision for all Americans, superseding congressional authority, right? And then I don't agree with how, like, I want to say I'm happy that he's in custody. He's outside of Venezuela, but realistically, if the entire point was to improve like Venezuelan life, because like yes, he had terrible effects in the U.S., but I still don't agree with that doesn't give the U.S. the right to go get him, and then especially compounded with the fact that 2 innocent civilians are dead because of this illegal operation. It just really compounds to me like, oh, there's a reason. There's a reason that laws exist. It's to stop, it's to like prevent these innocent people from dying, in operations that are not authorized.
Yeah, I would say I think the laws definitely exist for a reason, and the laws also exist to be interpreted by our courts. And right, and I think if that's what I just said.
Right, not by Trump.
Right. So, like I was saying, if Congress were to bring this to the court's attention and ask them if this were constitutional, then I think the courts would have to decide that. And I find it interesting that Congress has not yet brought it to the attention of the courts, because I don't know if they really do think that it is unconstitutional.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at the U.S. court system right now. They bring it to district court. Whatever decision is, they appeal it to the Court of Appeals, to the appellate court. Whatever decision, they appeal it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is 60 right now in the Republican ideology. You and then who have consistently stood on the back of big business and essentially Trump, like over this, even the first year of his term, and in general, this court has been standing on Trump's side. I think the court is very political right now. It was not intended to be political. It was intended to be unadulterated by politics, which is why it was the protector of American rights. But it just doesn't do that anymore. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was 2007, after the Valdez oil spill, the company was making ExxonMobil was making billions, and yet the people that they're supposed to pay off in the settlement still haven't received it, and then the court almost canceled the rest of the settlement because they said, oh, they paid enough, right? So this is a court led by John G. Roberts, who has consistently stood, on Republican ideals. Yes, that's why they're appointed, but I just don't think it's going to go anywhere, even if you bring it to the courts. And also, there's just so much stuff that you would have to unclassify for this operation that the evidence in the court might not be enough, because whenever the prosecution, in this case the Congress, would say like, oh, what about this, and then Trump would say, oh, that's classified, right? They can't really fight that. And also the courts will take such a long time that I think, I was going to talk about this later, but what they did end up doing, at least the Senate, was passing new provision of the War Powers Resolution, which would move a lot quicker than going through the courts, through all 3 courts before a decision can be made. Any more thoughts on the legality of this whole operation?
Yeah, like I said, I feel that the legality, can be malleable, I guess. I don't know the correct word I'm looking for, but the Constitution is set up in such a beautiful way that it has the ability to be changed, and has the ability to be interpreted, and it has the ability to be checked and balanced. And if we want to say that it won't be checked because the government is controlled by a certain political party, I mean, the United States elected President Trump. They elected however many Republicans in the House and in the Senate. The United States voted for this and wanted this.
Right, but then
so it is representing the majority. It is democratic in that way of what people want. Yeah.
I mean, while it might represent the majority, it also tramples on the rights of the minority who have a say in amending the Constitution, which they did not do. Right? They just went for it. Like, yes, I understand your sentiment about it can be changed, but time and time again, we've seen that one, the power to declare war lies with Congress, and two, after the War Powers Resolution Act in the I think 70s or 60s, 70s, the president must notify Congress, and this is just a gross breach of that because we were not in an armed conflict with Venezuela. This was essentially, to me, a kidnapping. And yeah, like all these reasons that you're saying like, oh, Constitution can be changed, yes, but the fact of the matter is they didn't do it, and I just don't think that the ends justify the means.
Yeah, I think it was the War Power Resolution Act of 1973, I think, after Vietnam. Yeah. Pretty sure it was 73. But
nice. 1973.
I try to know my dates. But I think but presidents have been able to disregard that historically since 1973, and Congress has never brought it to the courts. And I think they have never brought it to the courts because it might not be constitutional, because the president is the commander-in-chief of the army. So we have these laws on the books, but we can't act like the president is breaking precedent. I think it's a continuity.
Give me an example of a president breaking that act.
Who was it? I think it was Bush.
The story?
In Panama in the early 2000s, I believe, maybe 2002. And I don't think he was ever brought up on any sort of charges. As we see if we can cite my sources. Or way earlier, maybe 1989. What was I saying? 2002. I thought they extracted someone.
They did. General Manuel Noriega.
1989. Gosh, I was way.
Yeah, who was a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Congress was largely informed just before or during the action, with many members criticizing. Congress was largely informed just before or during the action, and there was bipartisan support for ousting Noriega. I think this is slightly different because, I think Trump let I think the number was 9 congressmen, both senators and and representatives, but 9 congressmen knew about this. They found out about this as the troops were flying in, which is very different from majority of Congress being largely informed right before or during the action. So the War Powers Resolution Act says that they must be notified within 48 hours. President Bush did majority of that, right? President Trump did not. And I remember another thing about bin Laden was that for the duration of the operation, the SEAL Team 6 was transferred. The authority to command SEAL Team 6 was temporarily transferred to the CIA. So still under Obama, but not as his capacity as commander-in-chief, because now it's law enforcement, it's the CIA. So it was technically not a military operation because it was not under military control. Versus this, where I don't believe the same thing happened. So I think this is a gross break in precedent. Do you have another example?
I can't think. Well,
Iraq, maybe. Let's try Iraq.
Iraq, but I think Panama was the most similar because it was one person being extracted.
U.S. had authorization for the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just think this is different. It's a gross break in precedent that shouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stick to my guns here. Like, the main point is that we had no right to be there, and then as a result of us illegally being there, we killed 2 innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
How is that, like...
Does that not... You're saying that does not outweigh?
I'm saying that it's not about weighing versus outweighing here. It's like we...
Didn't you say it justifies the means or something?
The ends do not justify the means.
Yeah. So is that weighing?
Mm-mm. In any case.
Okay.
Okay. Trolley problem, right? 1 person versus 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't touch the lever.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather let it hit 5 people than touch it and hit 1 person. Because I just don't think that the means in that situation would be I killed that person by switching the lever, rather than watching it happen to 5 people. So, while gruesome, it's not. Lost my train of thought. What was the question? Oh, justify the means. Yeah, like there are so many different options and ways to go about this to depose Maduro, and this was not the best decision by far.
Yeah, I think that Maduro, like we said, we agree that he was a bad person. And that was overwhelmingly bipartisan. I think when Joe Biden was in office, he upped the bounty to $25 million, I believe. So we were willing to pay people $25 million to bring him to us.
Yes.
But we didn't want to do it ourselves.
Yes.
And so when we have a guy who's a conspirator in narco-terrorism and cocaine and all these different things, and not only is he bad for our country, he's bad for his own country, and he's... Oh, have you seen the clips of him, like, calling out, like, the United States and all these different things? And, like, he was actively so anti the United States and actively bad for our country and his. And to say that... Well, the thing is, I do usually not like to pull the lever on the trolley problem. But I do see the utilitarian view that the 2 lives that were lost are... I mean, we don't know how many lives could be saved by removing Maduro from office, and that's going to be American lives and Venezuelan lives as well. And then, and I saw someone... I think I was having a discussion with someone, and someone said, well, the Venezuelans in Venezuela aren't saying anything positive about this. It's only the Venezuelans in America. And I don't think that point makes a lot of sense because America has the freedom of speech. Right. And if you're in Venezuela and you just had your dictator taken, you're not immediately about to jump on and say, yeah, he was such a bad guy, because then...
What if he comes back?
What if he comes back? What if his people come into power or whatever, and like the people we knew? So I feel like the Venezuelans who aren't in Venezuela and can't be... The Venezuelans who are in America, for example, who do have the freedom of speech, I have not found one who was anti this. That's what I'll say. So it seems to me that so many people were in favor of this operation despite the 2 casualties that were lost, because it was overwhelmingly better for America and Venezuela.
Well, I want to touch back on this in a second, because I think that one, if we approve this, it kind of justifies a might is right thinking, and 2, now the U.S. has informally been the world's police force, but it's really really taking off now as a result of this. But speaking of who's coming into power next, looking to the future of Venezuela, Trump has not clearly backed Maduro's main opposition figure, Maria Corina Machado, or her chosen candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, who they officially recognize as the winner in the disputed 2024 election. The U.S. officially recognized him as the winner. But despite this, Trump has publicly said that Machado doesn't have the respect, end quote, to govern, and he casts doubt on her and her movement's ability to lead the country. And his administration has instead engaged with Delcy Rodriguez, a longtime Maduro ally, elevated as interim authority, effectively sidelining Machado and her coalition, even though they are widely seen as won the 2024 vote. So, yes, you can say that, they got rid of a dictator, but they put in one of his subordinates into power instead. Mm-hmm. And he's refused to explain exactly why he recognizes Rodriguez and the Maduro regime insiders over the opposition party in any interviews. My question to you is, one, does this change your perspective of the effect that this will have in Venezuela? Two, do we think that he's mad that Maria Corina Machado, who won the Nobel Peace Prize last year, won it over him? Do we think he has an ego? And how big an ego?
Yeah, I don't know about that. That is funny, though. But, sorry, your first question was about, is this good for the betterment of Venezuela?
Yeah. You removed a dictator, but how much has changed if you put one of his subordinates in?
Right. I think that as the United States, kind of like you're saying, we are tasked with being this police of the world, which I don't know when we signed up for that, but for some reason we are.
Well, we just
have the biggest army.
Cold War.
And yeah. But we as the United States are tasked with right now making sure that Venezuela has a leader who both represents the needs of Venezuela and America. Whoa. Because we can't have the new leader go exactly back to what Maduro was doing. So
I don't quite think that the Nobel Peace Prize winner would go back to what Maduro was doing, though.
Right. So I wasn't even making an argument. I was just saying that in general, we as the United States don't want this person to be anything like Maduro, I guess.
But and yet he is.
And yet he was one of his subordinates.
Yes.
And so I don't know what is happening there. I don't know if there were some discussions made in the dark about who would lead, or maybe there was some sort of information that were passed. I don't want to give conspiracy theories I'm making up right now to our lovely audience. But
well, just give your opinion. Make sure it's your opinion. But yeah.
Right.
Do you have an opinion? Sorry.
My opinion would be that I find it interesting that Trump, as of right now, is backing someone who is so similar to Maduro when the other option, like you said, was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and
or her chosen candidate, but yeah,
and the elected person in 2024.
Yeah. So to give more context, from now on, Trump basically said the U.S. will run the country, Venezuela, until such a time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And that involvement will last much longer than 6 months or a year, according to Fox News. He's predicted that U.S. oversight of Venezuela and its resources could continue for years, and this would be as a part of his broader vision of U.S. dominance in the Western Hemisphere. He stated that the U.S. will manage Venezuelan oil sales indefinitely, with Caracas turning over tens of millions of barrels of crude oil that Washington will sell and control the proceeds from, and that this oil strategy will lower prices for U.S. consumers and finance reconstruction in Venezuela, while U.S. and allied companies invest in rebuilding the country's neglected energy infrastructure. So, all I'm hearing is that we went in to get more oil, as usual, right? The U.S. will manage Venezuelan oil sales indefinitely. To me, it just seems like that was a play here. There's also like more conspiracy theories of like say, this is a message to Putin, or because Venezuela and Russia are close. And we'll talk about this later with the oil tankers. But because when Venezuela and Russia are close, he's like, okay, Putin, you back out of Ukraine, and I'll back out of Venezuela. I'll give you your oil back. You give me Ukraine back, right? That could be one such example of why they did this. Another one could be that he just wants to be seen as tough on crime, and he wants to establish that he is the leader of the free world. Or three, that the U.S. just wants more oil. And that's at least those are my three takes on how this situation could have been interpreted. It could be all three, right?
It could be all four.
Four?
It could be the fourth of also just getting Maduro out of power because he's not a good guy.
Right.
Or like five because he's affecting the United States. And like if
I think that was more just to justify getting I think that was more just to justify getting him. I don't think that the indictments really I think the US could honestly care less, or Trump could care less I think the US could care less if we convict him. Like, it would be nice, but even if we drag out the trial for a year and a half, and then ultimately he's not convicted, we send him back, right? By that time, whoever took over for him will be so entrenched in power that Maduro will never rise to power again. So I don't know necessarily. I think the indictment's just legal cover for this. As far as getting a bad guy out of control, they just put another one in. So I don't necessarily agree with your fourth one, because they put another bad guy in to replace the first bad guy, but just this is the bad guy they can control. And then, my argument on the legal cover. This is completely speculation and just my opinion. But yeah.
Right. And I think it is important to make a distinction between like opinions and facts. And like you said, this is probably just someone that Trump thinks he can control, so that would be better for the United States in that aspect. But I can see a world where all of these things are true, where the United States gets rid of a bad person, we put in someone who we can control, but maybe he won't be as bad anymore because we're controlling him. This bad person is no longer negatively affecting the United States through drugs. We send a message to Russia and also China, which I found it funny that like the day after China called out Trump on just, I don't know, it's just, it kind of seemed like a hypocrisy moment. But
okay.
You don't have to comment on that.
No. I'm going to comment, and I'm going to give not my statements, but statements from the CCP, where Venezuela is a recognized sovereign nation, while Taiwan, you look it up, the U.S. has not formally recognized Taiwan yet. They said they'll protect them, they'll defend them, but has the U.S. formally recognized Taiwan as a country? No. So all of China's arguments against, all of China's threats to Taiwan, basically, we're going to invade you, we can invade whenever we want. First of all, I think that's horseshit. They're not going to do anything. Their military, at least for the next year or two, is not strong enough to go across the water, especially with the U.S. quick reaction forces in the Philippines, Japan, and South Korea. So I just don't think that that's likely to happen. I think the island defenders can hold out for the, 6 to 12 hours that it takes for the U.S. to arrive. On the second hand, like, it's a different situation because Taiwan is yet to be recognized as a country in the majority of the world, whereas Venezuela is recognized by, I think, everybody.
Yeah.
So, two different situations. I see what you mean. It is similar, but yeah.
I mean, I just thought that China was a little salty because I think they had a meeting with Maduro.
Oh, did they?
Either that day or the day after.
Oh, really?
So Trump kind of just swooped in and took him.
Hold on, I want to check this.
And then China says, hey, guys, U.S., you were doing illegal stuff. And it's like, really? You care about doing illegal stuff now?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they had it before.
Oh, they did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was after.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe. They had some interesting talks.
Yeah.
But that was kind of just like a funny side thing or whatever, that China was like calling out the United States for
It's politics.
acting immorally.
Well,
But whatever.
Well.
The point I was making is that I can see a world where we remove a bad dictator. I can see a world where we eliminate a bad person, no longer is going to do any sort of bring any drugs into America, send a message, get oil. Like, it seems as if the only thing wrong with this plan was that it was technically illegal, but we get rid of him and send a message and get oil. And also the oil, it's not like Venezuela, like their citizens were benefiting from this oil. It was just Maduro and
right.
It was just the corrupt government that would have been benefiting from this oil.
But now they're still not benefiting from it. Or
I think they'll benefit more than under Maduro.
but they're still
And
not.
if we had left them, like you said,
Mhm.
then they wouldn't be benefiting from it at all.
Well, I just don't think the U.S. has shown it has the best intentions for Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Saying it will take control of its oil sales. While it said it will build stuff, but ultimately, it was a play, I think, to get a little bit of oil. And I agree with your point, but at the same time, if Maduro is corrupt for not giving his citizens, the benefits of the oil sales, how much better is the U.S. for giving them only a part of it?
Mm-hmm.
In that case,
I was just gonna say, like, you said the United States isn't like thinking. I forget your phrasing, but the Venezuela,
it doesn't have the best interests.
not their best interest.
Yeah.
Well, I hope the United States has the United States' best interest, number
It
one.
definitely does. But
Which I think is what the United States should be doing.
Mhm.
The United States government should be caring most about the United States, and then helping out people, helping out different countries, however that fits into prioritizing the United States. I think that's what the United States government should do. I think that's what every government should want, to help out their own people.
Mhm.
So if we can help our people a lot and get whatever gas, oil prices down, and also help out Venezuelans, it seems like this was a overwhelming victory, despite its questions of legality.
Yeah. Okay. So, just to summarize, because I think it's a little cloudy.
Yeah.
We both agree the ends are better than they were before. We disagree on the varying levels of like how much better it's going to get. Luke thinks that, or I believe that Luke thinks that the ends in this case justify the means. Yeah. Okay. Am I correct? Okay. I still disagree, and my question I'll pose it to you is: what happened? What would you say if something went wrong? If 20 U.S. service members passed away as a result of this operation, would you still? Because all the positives are still there, right? Would you say it's bad? Would you say it's illegal? How would your opinion change on this topic? And I would ask everybody at home to consider this too. No one's. I'm not questioning that in this case it did have a good result, but laws are in place to prevent bad results, right? It's preventing the thinking from taking two steps forward and one step back. It's just take small steps forward. Don't have that backsliding. I think that's what laws are for in my analogy. So again, I'll restate my question: what would have happened? Sorry, how would your opinion change if 20 U.S. service members were killed?
Yeah. You just said laws are in place to make sure that bad things don't happen too. Yeah, I want to touch on that too. But my opinion would change, I would say maybe a little bit more than slightly, but I think I would definitely view it as worse, which is possibly why I view the operation as so good. Because every single time the United States tries to go into another country and perform some sort of operation, we always lose American lives.
Yes.
And so the fact that we didn't lose American lives is like, that shows how expertly we pulled this off.
But what if we did?
If we did, I would view it as worse, and I would view it as almost like any other U.S. operation where we're going for some sort of thing.
But in difference, we did not have a right to be there. We didn't have a right to go in.
I told you, sorry. Wait, what?
Sorry.
We did not have a right.
We didn't have a right to go in. We didn't have a right to be there. And if U.S. lives were killed, if U.S. lives were lost there, how would that change your opinion? Because that's no longer an operation, the same as operations before. Sorry. I don't want to repeal
Yeah.
that.
But like I said, I think my opinion would be that it was slightly worse than what it could have been. But since my opinion, I don't know if you're trying to prove my point, but it could have been so much worse. It could have been 20 American lives lost, or it could have been 100 Venezuelan citizens lost, or all these bad things could have happened. But in my opinion, since Trump did not feel the need to discuss with Congress because there could have been possible leaks or something like that, or Maduro could have figured it out. I mean, the United States flew in. Maduro was hiding in a bunker or whatever in his little fort, thinking he could protect himself. The United States extracts him. No lives are lost. And we remove a terrible person, a world leader, from doing very bad things. I feel like that's an incredible win.
Okay. So.
Oh, sorry. Then I wanted to touch on your laws are in place to stop bad things. I also think that laws are not in place to stop good things. Laws don't exist to be followed to the letter so that if we want to do something good, then we're not allowed to do that. And I know the argument then we have no laws and a slippery slope or whatever, but we cannot overlook how overwhelmingly good this was, despite its questions of legality. We don't even know if it is constitutional or not unconstitutional or not constitutional. We don't even know. So we are saying that it's a cloudy area of whether it's constitutional, but we agree that this was an amazing thing. So then how could that not be a win?
Okay. In this situation, it's a win. Let me give you another hypothetical.
Okay.
Well, I think it should be my last one.
Hypothetical,
Yeah.
lines.
So, say they call this is discussed and it's considered constitutional, right? 4 years down the line, another president takes control, right? Because it's Trump's second term. He should not be running for a third term.
He won't.
He said he could.
He definitely won't.
Another president takes control, right? They do a similar operation. It goes terribly wrong.
Right.
We've completely failed. And then they use this case as a justification for legality. What would you say?
If it follows the exact situation in which our administration went, and the court found it constitutional before, then I would think that it was constitutional again. It just went awry. I mean, we've had failed missions, we've had failed wars, but that doesn't mean that they weren't just because something is or is not constitutional does not mean that it's going to be good for the United States. So there isn't a direct link there. You can do something that is constitutional, but is very bad for the United States. You can do something that's unconstitutional, but is very good for the United States. In my opinion, I think this Venezuela whole operation could have definitely been constitutional, yet we both agree that it was a win. So I don't know. Your hypothetical, to answer it like specifically, I think that would be very bad if I don't know if you gave specifics, but like that would have been very bad for
200 American lives lost.
Right.
Sorry, not operation. The objective was not reached.
Right.
200 lives were lost.
So I would have said that's terrible for the 200 American lives, and that's terrible for the operation, and we failed, and that's not something we want to do. But that doesn't mean that the constitutionality is changing. So, like, you can perform a mission really bad. Like, the United States could constitutionally declare war on, I was just going to, like, a random country, like Poland. And so, like, now the United States, Congress is, like, declaring war on Poland, and we just start bombing the heck out of Poland out of nowhere.
Well, okay, U.S. declares war. Congress declared war, correct?
Yes. So I'm saying we constitutionally do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can still constitutionally do something,
yes,
and it completely fail.
Yeah.
So there's not...
But I think the likelihood of it the point I'm trying to get at here is that under law, under Constitution, there's a high chance of success, a lower chance of failure than it would in other places without laws. Sure, you could say, oh, this case it worked out, but what if the next 4 cases didn't work out? 4 times this happens in a row, the failures, right? And now you have a precedent,
Mm-hmm.
where it worked one time, and they keep trying, and they keep trying, and they keep trying, and then they keep losing American lives. It's like not. I just think that I'm not a professional statistician. I just believe that, the laws that take so long to enact, they're there for a reason, and that reason is to, like I said earlier, maximize the good, minimize the bad, and just because one time without the laws it worked, doesn't mean it will for the next 10 times. I believe that more likely than not,
Doesn't mean it won't, though. You don't know what it means.
Yeah, but I think that
it could mean. It could mean anything. Like, the constitutionality is not changing the outcome of any.
Well, if it could mean anything,
case,
then like you said just earlier, then what's the point of having a law in the first place? If it could, if every situation should be left to an individual's judgment, without regard for the law, then what need is there for the law? Why do we have the War Powers Resolution Act?
We have the War Powers Resolution Act to stop what happened in Vietnam. That it was a direct effect of the Vietnam War.
It was a prolonged military conflict. I agree.
But it's never been in front of the Supreme Court, and I think it's never been in front of the Supreme Court for good reason, because it is it's teetering on the line of being unconstitutional.
It is?
I mean, when you have Article 2 of the Constitution talking about how the United States President is in control of the Army.
Well, you have one where it's talking about how Congress declares war.
But how do you define war? The Constitution never defined war.
It's a formal declaration of war. Like, you have to make a declaration of war.
I know, but I'm saying the Constitution never defines war.
The Constitution to the international understanding of what war, of how war is defined. You announce that you are entering an armed military conflict with another country. That's what war is. But you have to announce it first. That's what they...
Right, but were we in war with whoever? Where did we get Bin Laden from?
Al-Qaeda, yeah.
Al-Qaeda?
Yes.
Or sorry, no, the country.
No.
We were in...
We're not in war.
At war.
We were not at war with Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
We were at war with Al-Qaeda, who was harboring...
Congress declared war?
Congress approved war, yeah.
Did they declare war? The United States has only declared war 5 times, and it has not declared war since World War II. Last time we were at...
Congress granted the Authorization for Use of Military Force Act in September 2001,
but we
granting
did not...
the President broad authority to use force against the organizations responsible for 9/11, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in specific. So, in that case, they authorized him to use force.
But we didn't declare war.
They authorized him to use force. They didn't authorize it this time.
You really thought they declared war, huh? The United States has not declared war since 1940.
Okay. You want to talk about the formal declaration of war or the informal definition? If you announce you're in an armed military conflict of it, which I think that the AUMF is.
I'm just telling you that whatever's happening in Venezuela is not World War II. And so it would definitely break precedent if Congress were to declare war on Venezuela as we declared war on Hitler. That was the last person we've really declared war on. So I don't think it goes to that extent. And so Congress didn't need to clear anything if Trump just wanted to extract, I guess, 2 people. I was going to say 1 person.
2.
Because his wife, a little accomplice. Actually, I don't know what she did.
No,
I'm actually interested in that more.
They said that she
She was involved.
Yeah, no, she was involved. She was involved because her and his son were discussing, movements with the cartels. So in that sense, because they were in direct contact, they were guilty.
But anyway, I feel like we're getting off topic now.
I mean, I guess we can end this on another split note. Let's talk about its effects. Several events have occurred as a result of this raid. The UN calls an emergency meeting. Oil tankers are being seized, and new controversies around Greenland are surfacing. And it seems like Congress is actually fighting back now, as I'm sure you've heard. So, U.S. forces intercepted and boarded a Russian-flagged tanker, formerly the Bella 1, later Marinera, after it had already been, and it was renamed after it had been seized. It was renamed by Russia after it had been seized in international waters after tracking it for weeks. And they seized it under U.S. sanctions authority because they said that it wasn't operating under any one country. And it's described as being part of a shadow fleet used to move oil from Iran and Venezuela to Russia, for cheaper, because of all the sanctions around the world, right? Russia cannot get oil, or Russia needs oil.
Right.
So that's how the justification of this oil tanker. This has happened before. So in the west coast of France, in 2024, France seized another ship, and this current ship that we're talking about right now was unflagged when it was seized. So that's like one result of the U.S. is, really putting the pressure on Russia, I think, and it leads more towards the theory that, some sort of trade or exchange might go on between the two countries. Anything to add for the oil tankers?
Not any more facts, but I think that probably is it could be a likely, not even a conspiracy theory, but just a theory at that point, where the United States, Trump really prides himself on ending wars, and he really likes to.
Has he though?
I said he likes to be known for that. So he would love to end the war in Russia and Ukraine. So he's going to try to do that.
War.
He's going to try to do that.
No response.
I contain myself and be on the party lines because it's a very serious podcast. And so he is definitely looking to end the war in Russia, Ukraine. So I can definitely see some motivations there.
Okay. So let's move on to Greenland. So first of all, Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, and it manages most of its internal affairs like education, health, and resources, while Denmark handles defense, foreign policy, and constitutional matters. Though Greenland has the right to declare independence, it has not. It functions as a self-governing nation with its own parliament, but remains part of Denmark. And recently, multiple outlets describe internal discussions from Trump's administration about lump sum payments ranging from $10,000 to $100,000 USD per person in Greenland, trying to see, can we get popular support for them to secede?
It's 5 people in Greenland.
There's 57,000. Roughly 57,000, which will put the cost of this program to from hundreds of millions to $6 billion for Greenland. And then I think the payments are a part of a broader push where Trump and senior aides argued that the U.S. ownership of Greenland was vital for Arctic security and the competition for Russia and with Russia and China. Because if you look on the world map, you go to the top, right? If you go online, go to Google Earth and you search, and you just look at the top of the map where the Arctic is. As polar ice caps melt, this will become a huge shipping lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's right there?
Is it Russia or China?
Russia.
Russia.
Russia right there. China's like over here. So Greenland essentially is essential for the U.S. to defend itself. They already have Alaska and one Air Force base there. They want another one here.
Right.
In Greenland. So that's why they want it. They also think that there's a lot of like mineral deposits around the edge of the country, as well as a lot of more. Guess what? Oil. So that's where the Greenland fixation comes from. There is no indication. Okay. Greenlandic and Danish leaders have repeatedly and publicly rejected talk of annexation or purchase, and that the U.S. must respect Greenlanders' own right to self-determination. These payouts, or these lump sum payments, are internal deliberations. There is no congressional talk of it yet. No referendum tied to them has been made. And it's still a theory. It's the theory that Trump is not trying to hide. That he's like thinking, like, we're thinking about doing it. Like,
Right.
Should we? Should they? Do you think?
If the United States had Greenland, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't. So
Is paying them morally wrong?
Is paying them morally wrong? I don't think if we're paying them, like if we're paying them $5 and like just kind of kicking them off, that's different. But if we're paying them a reasonable amount, then I don't think that's morally wrong. No, because I'm assuming they could still live where they are. It would just be under the United States, or if they were so inclined, they could go to Denmark or wherever, because Denmark owns Greenland. So if they really don't want to be part of the United States, they could just travel to Denmark or somewhere else in Europe.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is morally wrong for the United States to.
Is it a good idea?
Is it a good idea?
Up to $6 billion.
$6 billion. I mean, it's kind of something the United States like scoffs at. It's nothing. $6 billion in the grand scheme of things is
what are we now?
not that much.
38 trillion now.
Are we? Are we over 30?
Oh, we've been over 30.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant GDP.
No, sorry. That clock. What's your?
I'll go 30. Even.
30 even? It's like 38.
30 trillion. It's $38.5 trillion. And what's the GDP?
30.6 trillion.
30.6 trillion.
So we're losing. We're not losing.
No, that's not how it works.
Right. Almost. But
yeah, we are
but
$8 trillion in debt.
A lot of that's going into
more than.
A lot of that's going into insurance. Not insurance. Sorry. What's it called? Loan repayments. A lot of that 30.6 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know quite what number it is, but a lot of it's going in there. So back to Greenland. Good idea, bad idea?
I don't think it's the worst idea, to be honest. When we could put more pressure on Russia and then we can finally get this war to be over. But it would have to be done well, and it would have to be done in such a way that Greenland and its residents, citizens, respect it. And as of right now, Greenland does not respect it, and maybe for a price they will, but I guess we'll see. I would say it's only a good idea if the people in Greenland like the idea.
Yeah. Does it undermine Danish authority?
I don't think it does if Denmark wants, if they agree to it. Like if we were to invade.
It's not Denmark's choice. Greenland has the authority to declare its own independence. So if we go to Greenland, we pay them, and then Greenland says, "All right, buy Denmark."
Well, yeah. Then I mean, if Denmark wanted Greenland to be part of Denmark so bad, then they would have made Greenland part of Denmark. So I guess it is undermining Denmark's authority, but that's the system that Denmark set up. And if you, like, I don't know what I'm assuming Puerto Rico can, or like one of those type of territories couldn't.
I don't think they want to.
I don't think they want to.
Because they get benefits, but they don't have to like
right. But if they were, I don't know if they are even able to like pay Russia.
We'd have to fix
get paid by.
We'd have to fix so many
billions
flags.
of dollars.
Bro. Oh my god. Just think of the number of flags we'd have to fix.
That's where the majority of the $6 billion goes.
If we pick up Greenland, we might as well pick up Venezuela, pick up Mexico, pick up Canada, make it 54. So we don't do it 4 times over the next 20 years.
I don't think Greenland would ever be a state. Actually, yeah, we need to keep it even. So it'd have to be like Puerto Rico, Greenland.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say? Canada and who?
Mexico.
Why don't we just own the whole world at this point?
Why shouldn't we? Actually. Oh yeah, we never talked about. Sorry, we forgot to talk about world policing.
Oh yeah.
I think just in general,
We touched on it,
but this Venezuela situation in general for me, just kind of conveys a real like might is right thinking, and then the U.S. is the world's police. I don't know if you agree or disagree. And the U.S. is also like saying, "Oh, we're going to scale back. We're not going to help other people, but we're going to invade them when we want to."
Mm-hmm.
So, what's up with that?
Yeah, like I said, I feel like the United States they should have their first intention be about the United States and our people and American citizens. So if we should only be policing, I guess, in 2 main situations. One, it's a global atrocity, like World War II, where we must intervene, even though it's not directly affecting us. Or, number 2, it's a country that is negatively affecting us, so we have to police them. And that's where we're going to see in Maduro's trial. But that would be the argument for taking Maduro. So I think we should only be policing either crazy, massive atrocities or countries that are directly negatively affecting us.
And how would you stop a U.S. invasion for something? Okay, by this logic, right? How would you stop somebody who's invading another country not for one of these 2 issues? Or do you make
another country?
Yeah, that is not one of these 2 issues. That's not a global atrocity, and that's not affecting the U.S. directly. It's just like, for example, Saudi Arabia is like withholding oil, oil sales. They're trading with other people instead. How does that? And the U.S. chose to go in and invade. Like, but the law is only these 2 situations, and Saudi Arabia is not one of these situations. But the president authorized it. Do you see like my point? Like how like bad things could happen if we don't follow like what's law? Like, yeah, no.
Well, are you proposing isolationism?
No. I'm proposing that we don't be. I think the UN needs to.
UN can't do anything.
I know, but
The UN has no.
You need to change.
Executive power.
You have to change it.
But to change the UN in such a way that they would be able to exert power would just be American soldiers at the end of the day. Those would be. We're still policing the same amount, except now everyone gets to vote on what we police on.
Yeah.
But then we're still going to be losing American lives because the only way to enforce stuff is through a military, and the only military they're going to want to use is ours.
But then how do we block imperialism?
Can I have like an example you're thinking of?
Invading Saudi Arabia for oil, purely for oil.
How do we block imperialism?
Or stop, not block, but stop it.
I think that, well, kind of like what you were saying in Federalist 51, like we elect leaders who don't want to do imperialism. I feel like that's, like we can't.
Well, evidently we elected one in that does.
Well, then that's what.
And then also,
I think that's kind of what the majority of the United States wants then.
Well, didn't he lose a popular vote?
To Harris?
I don't think I'm thinking of Hillary.
Yeah.
What was the population vote?
No, it was not close against Harris.
Really?
Popular or electoral?
1.5%, less than 1.5%. What a difference.
Look at the electoral vote.
I'm talking about population vote. You said majority of the U.S. That this is by definition majority of the U.S. It just leaves
49.8. Oh my gosh, that's off.
48.3. I don't think this is off, man. I think this is pretty accurate.
No, I said buzz off because you
Oh.
said 49.8 is not the majority. I guess it's definitionally not the majority because it's not over 50%.
Yeah. So, and then here's how do you block imperialism? Also, it's more complex than that because what if you have a president who, wants to make all these internal reforms? That's great. The other guy doesn't, but this internal reform guy also wants to expand imperialistically, right? How do you vote on that? You vote to help yourself, but then by doing that, you open the door for some guy to also invade other countries illegally for non-legal reasons.
But are those ends justified by the means? Like Saudi Arabia.
If we launch an invasion in Saudi Arabia, we're going to lose lives, I'd imagine.
Right, but I think that's why we're not.
Right, but how do you stop someone who does in this new world, right?
I mean, you can't restrict the president's power in such a way that he can't control his army anymore.
You can only control it domestically. It's for the good of the defense. Like, we should.
Wait, you think the president should only be able to control the United States Army domestically?
Without some sort of authorization from Congress, yes. Like, I don't think the U.S. should launch preemptive strikes.
That is, I'm not going to say anti-constitution, but that is a very big amendment to the Constitution. I don't think the Founding Fathers agreed to that.
The Founding Fathers only said that, necessary and proper. That's all they said. Now the definition of that is different across different people.
I guess this is for the courts to decide, but
Yeah, well,
but you're proposing that the president only controls the Army and Navy domestically, and anything
Only-
outside of that has to be approved by Congress.
yes.
I don't think that aligns with the Constitution. At least, maybe that's just my interpretation of it.
What part of it?
Article 2, Section 1, United States President is the...
You're always going to memorize where stuff was and numbers.
Oh, it's just the beginning of it. It's kind of how it starts. It's like the president would be the commander-in-chief. Is it not?
No.
What?
That's wrong.
Where's it? Scroll down.
Wait, what the heck? Electors, electoral votes, qualifications, succession, compensation, oath. The hell? Wait.
Oh, I think it's the start of Section 2, maybe.
Doing programming here. I'm so smart.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, it's the start. It's Section... Article 2, Section 2, not Section 1. President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states.
Well,
So it almost makes a distinction between the militia that should be used within the United States and the Army and Navy of the United States.
Well, the militia, so I would say, is like state.
That's like the National Guard.
Yeah. Okay. So
So you're saying the president should only be able to control the National Guard and then Congress controls the Army?
no, I think okay. Well, to start, commander-in-chief of the military doesn't just mean full control, full autonomous control, right? Because evidently, he cannot declare war by himself and use the military, correct?
Yeah, but you can still
Well-
use the military.
Yes. Okay. But if he can't use, if there are exceptions to the case where he can use the military, or if there are times where he cannot use the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I think that one of those times is that. If not in defense of the United States, it's not necessary for him to carry out preemptive strikes against other countries
I think
without retaliation. Like
that's just a it's just a reading of the Constitution that's far off from what the Founding Fathers defined. And I'm not saying that, like,
how do you know
we're...
what they defined it as?
Well, like, we are allowed to amend the Constitution. We
But
would
we
have to
haven't.
do that. Well, we've done it 27 times.
We haven't done it in relation to this.
No. But
So
maybe do you
evidently,
think that's because...
majority of people, or 75% of people, still think that the way it is right now is pretty good?
So then... So then, do you not believe in the democracy that the 75% of the states?
If they vote to change it, then yeah, let them change it. But they haven't voted to change it yet. So why should we independently say, oh, in the 21st century, it's different now. It's different now, and we can define it however we like.
You're the one saying that. You're the
No,
one.
you're
You're the
not.
one who's reading the Constitution and saying that the president should only be able to control domestically unless it's like in retaliation. And
Well, you're the one reading it, saying that he should have full control of it.
but that's how every judge has read it up until this point.
Really? Where has this come from court?
Where has it ever come up in court where the president has been restricted to just domestically?
So you just said the judge. Okay, you just said the judges have.
I think it never comes up in court because it's so obvious. I mean, you would have to make the 28th Amendment that the president can only control...
We're at 27 now.
Pretty
I
sure.
think we're at 24. I can keep going.
You would have to make
Okay.
the 28th Amendment that the president can only control the army if it's voted on by Congress. Like, that's just... It's just very different from the Constitution that we've had for however many years, 250 years.
Oh yeah. 250.
It's
Just
just
true.
like, or I guess not. That's not true because it was signed in 87. So 240.
It was ratified in 91, actually.
It was ratified in 91. Wait, was that Bill of Rights though?
No, it wasn't ratified. It wasn't ratified until 91. It was finished in 87 and sent out to the countries. Sent out to the states.
I think it was ratified in 88. You gonna keep all this in when you get dates?
Yes.
When you get dates wrong, you gonna keep all this in? Bill of Rights might have been 91.
No, I think Bill of Rights was the right. Yeah. Oh, almost 92.
But my point is, I just don't. You are providing a reading of the Constitution that is, well, I guess definitionally, it would be a radical reading, as in like it would go against the norm. So you're gonna have to find 75% of the country to agree with you on that,
Why are you giving? Okay.
or you're gonna have to find 2/3 of Congress and 75% of the states.
Do I even need Congress? No, I can't. Can I like have special state elections to do it without Congress?
To get an amendment?
Yeah.
No. Gosh, I just
Is that-
let's cut all this out of Beyond the Party Line so that nobody knows. I'm pretty sure you have to get 2/3 of Congress and then 75% of the states.
No, wait.
Proposal, 2/3 of Congress. Ratification.
No, national proposal, national convention. 2/3 of state legislatures call for a state national convention. They can go in Congress
But then to ratify it, you still need 3/4 of states.
of state legislatures and state conventions, not Congress.
Oh, that's like the. I don't think that's
Yeah.
ever been used.
It has
though.
never been used, but it's there. It's there. It's never been used. So
That is possible, yeah.
and then
But the ordinary way to amend a.
I wouldn't call 27 and 250 years or 200 whatever years ordinary, but okay.
You wouldn't call 27 out of 27 ordinary?
27 costs 200 plus years now.
What?
Never mind.
You would do something not ordinary by doing it 1 out of 28 times, I guess, at that point. This is so off topic because you are reading the Constitution that the president should not be able to control the army outside of the United States without Congress approval, which I don't think is supported by the Constitution. I don't know what judge has agreed to that. And like I said, I don't think it ever came up because that's too radical. I don't mean to be like diminishing your opinions,
You
but
do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't. I'm just saying it's just, I don't know if it's supported by the facts. That it just never, I don't know. I've never heard that before. I've never heard the president shouldn't be able to control his army.
He should only he should only have the power to deploy American forces abroad and commit them to military operations when the president deems such action necessary to maintain the security and defense of the United States.
Security and defense. Isn't that kind of how I defined it?
But I don't think do preemptive strikes count as security and defense.
When the president deems such actions, it's if the president deems it.
You could have a radical president who deems any preemptive strike defense.
That's why we have checks and balances.
But
like we have to give.
What checks and balances? We're going around laws now. We're saying that this law doesn't apply right now. What checks and balances?
No, I'm saying. My argument was I think it is constitutional, and even if it were not constitutional, it still would be allowed. However, it's still probably constitutional because he deemed it necessary and proper.
Okay, let's.
So it's like
We'll circle.
you're focusing in on the argument, like I said before, it was an amazing win. We can agree to that.
Mm.
And it's cloudy if it's constitutional. I'll give you cloudy. I think it's pretty constitutional.
I think it's.
And you can think it's unconstitutional. But I would say at most it's a cloudy situation, right? It's a complex constitutional situation.
I'm risk averse. So I'm just thinking what happens if it doesn't go well? The reason it exists is to prevent stuff from not going well when we don't have the right to be there. I digress. We've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes now. If there is no sleep, so I'm gonna lose this debate anyways.
Yeah, that's why I lost the debate.
Yeah. No, if I was on full sleep, you'd be so done, buddy.
Would you still be reading the Constitution that way?
I would probably read it beforehand. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
You were on a podcast called Beyond the Party Lines, and you've never read the Constitution.
Never read the Constitution. Because I knew what I was looking for when I read that out, the deems necessary part for the defense. All right, last little bit is the Senate standing up to Trump, or at least my view is that the Senate is standing up to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
The first step to limit his ability to expand military action in Venezuela, advancing a War Powers Resolution Act on a 52 to 47 vote. That rebukes how he launched the Maduro raid without Congress. It will not undo the raid, but it will prevent him from adding in any new forces and would end up in a direct removal of U.S. forces from hostilities within or against Venezuela unless Congress specifically authorizes continued or new military action. The Republican senators that broke with Trump are Senators Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Todd Young, and Josh Hawley, who joined all 47 Democrats to move the measure forward, describing the raid as an act of war that requires congressional sign-off. Trump pretty predictably blasted these Republicans publicly, I think, on Twitter. Is his favorite, right? Yeah, Twitter, saying, quote, they should be ashamed and, quote, never be elected to office again. And that they warned the vote would severely hamper American self-defense and his authority as commander-in-chief. If it became law, which is unlikely, it would bar Trump from introducing U.S. forces into new hostilities within or against Venezuela and require him to pull forces back from imminent combat unless Congress explicitly authorizes it. It does not cancel the Maduro operation and would still allow things like protecting U.S. personnel, but would sharply constrain launching additional major attacks or large troop deployments without a vote. Of course, this resolution still needs a final Senate passage vote, the House approval, and the House approval. White House has issued a formal veto threat and says advisors would recommend Trump veto it. Again, overriding veto would require 2/3 majorities in both chambers, which is kind of unlikely. So, but I think more than anything, this is a symbolic like breaking of like the Republican Party. Like, you know, Trump kind of unified it under MAGA, and then now it's starting to fragment out. The more moderate Republicans are saying this is a little too far right for me. I think, in my opinion,
Right.
and they're breaking with their own party line. Thoughts?
Sorry, but
Sorry, one thing.
yeah,
I think
question.
no, I think we can both agree that this act most likely will not pass.
Yeah,
Like, it's going to get vetoed, and then they're not going to get 2/3 majority. I don't think, at least, because that would be if they somehow got
from the House, maybe from the Senate.
if they got 2/3 majority in both houses, that'd be insane. Like, that is a huge, huge break.
When was the time that happened?
Two-thirds veto.
I think it was Obama on like the. God, it was some sort of security. They wanted to pay something.
January 2021.
A what? I was thinking of a big one.
Oh, and Senate over President Trump's veto of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. So basically, the budget for defense.
What was the Obama one that I was thinking of? Because it was pretty big deal.
Obama. 2016. Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act.
No. So maybe it's more.
So 9/11 victims' families can
Right.
sue, so they can sue Saudi Arabia because Obama was originally Saudi Arabian.
Right. So then Congress.
Oh, this is the only veto override of Obama's
Right.
8-year.
That's what I was thinking
office.
of.
That's crazy. That's big.
Yeah.
All right, back to thoughts on.
But yeah, I think, like we said, this probably is not going to get into legislation. It's not going to become a law because, like we said, the precedent is it's a rare thing to happen. But I just. Or do you have a more pointed question? Because I have thoughts. I just like.
Should it pass?
I don't feel like. I don't feel like that's how the Constitution was originally written. Like, that was not the Founding Fathers' intention.
So, you support a strict interpretation of the Constitution?
Well, no, because I mean.
Okay.
Well, how strict? Because Thomas Jefferson, like Louisiana Purchase, like I think the Louisiana Purchase was one of the greatest deals of all time. $15 million, like that was a absolute steal.
Was that what, 3 cents an acre?
Yeah, it was like nothing. But what was I gonna say? I'm not a strict constitutionalist that I don't think the government can do anything outside of like necessary proper means nothing to me. But I think when the Constitution says that the president is the commander in chief, it was $15 million.
Yeah, no, I'm looking for adjusted inflation right now. That would be $430 million. Which is still
that's
cheap.
ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is why.
Oh, final settlement was approximately 27.27 because of interest payments.
Boo.
Yeah. I mean, still.
Stupid Napoleon.
Still. It was still a great deal.
Yeah.
Like,
So, like, yeah, I believe that was a great deal, and it wasn't written in the Constitution, so I don't disagree with that. And I believe that the necessary proper clause is more than just, like, a throwaway nothing.
mm-hmm.
But this is why the president is so important. Like, we, as a country, are supposed to elect a president who will lead our army effectively and it's just... I guess it got to such a political thing that the Republicans and the Democrats, and they do their primaries and they just pick whoever
He's gonna win.
is going to win. And like that is not necessarily the person who's going to lead the country and lead the army the best.
Washington was right.
But like we no. But we wrote like the founding fathers wrote the Constitution so that the president would be elected, and it would be like not like elite theory, but like it would be an elite person, as in this should be a person who people look up to and say, this person is so smart and this person is obviously going to lead our country to the best of our ability. And
as we talked about last episode, I don't think he's led our country to anything great yet.
Right. And so I don't think this is a Constitution thing. I think this is like an American just electing the wrong person thing.
So, did we elect the wrong person?
I mean, I think there could have been much better people who were elected. I would definitely agree with that.
I'm curious on your thoughts. Who would you rather see in the Oval Office?
My best friend, Ethan Shea. No, definitely not.
Oh, definitely. Well, one day he will vote for me.
Probably.
One day.
Not. But I don't even know, because it was so... I think once Trump does not run for his third term, and I think once that can just be kind of a reset.
Yeah.
I think we can have a better civil and actually I don't even know, it's just getting more polarized. There's just no more middle ground anymore, which is ridiculous. And
that's
I don't know if we're ever gonna have another like Nixon or Reagan who wins every single state. The United States might never have that again, which is ridiculous to think about.
I do see the Republicans changing sides. 5 is only the start. I think that a lot more will change, especially in the House once Mike Johnson, whoever the whip is, gets thrown out of power by the rest of the Republicans. I think that majority of the party is more so intimidated by MAGA than they are truly MAGA believers. And I think that once if the Democrats just don't go so polarized, if the Democrats stay more moderate and let Trump go radical, right, they will by extension pull the moderates in the Republican Party into the Democratic Party, just for now at least,
right,
until Trump is run out of power. And then once that happens,
Democrats can get so radical though.
They can get, and so can both sides can get so radical.
No, I mean sorry, actually both sides can get very radical, but I guess that's what happens when you are the liberal party.
Yeah,
progressive party compared to the conservative party. You naturally have to be
a little
more radical than conservative because you want change. So
I remember thinking
it's harder to get moderates in that way, unless if it's a unanimous bipartisan we need certain change.
I remember 2021 thinking January thinking that once the Senate, the House, the court, and the president were all Democratic, I'm this is not whether or not they do good things was up for debate, but they're going to punch it down the throat of the American people, no matter what. And then they just went really, really. I think they went pretty radical with it. I think that was their mistake. If they stayed more more moderate and we're not as progressive,
right,
they would be better. Same thing with Trump. I think people would really support J.D. Vance or someone else in his administration taking over once he's done. If he's just not this radical, but then he's so so far to the right. As we talked about this last episode, with everything that he's done so far in his administration, that he's gerrymandering states because he's afraid that they're going to lose midterms.
Right.
He's genuinely afraid they're going to lose control of both houses in the midterms, which is a valid reason because he's so radical on the right. But yeah, back to the question: should it pass or not? I think it's pretty evident from my point of view today that it should pass, but I think
I guess my opinion, I just don't think it should pass. I don't think it is an accurate reading of the Constitution. And I do think if you went back in time and you brought it to the Supreme Court of 1800, I don't think they would agree. Like, I know you can say, like, if you bring it to the courts now, they're going to go Republican because it's 6 out of 9. But I still feel like with an unbiased look, that is a restriction on the original intention of Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, which gives the president full power over the Army and Navy.
Okay. Well,
that's my opinion.
Yeah. That's his opinion. I have my opinion, and we encourage you to form your own opinion.
Yes.
So, anything else to add?
I'm all good.
All right. So, thank you for tuning in to episode 6 of Beyond the Party Lines. My name is Ethan Shea.
My name's Luke Sheed.
And we'll see you next time.